Have you ever wanted the drama and boldness of a hard light source, but also the subtle wrap of a soft light? But the trick is you want it from the same light source. Can it be done? Can you somehow combine the two? That's what we're exploring in today's video. Okay, so before we go any further, this technique does actually require two separate light sources. I'm not sure that physics would allow for both a soft and a hard quality of light to come from the same source. The trick is that they're combined in such a way that they appear to come from the same light source. This is a technique that I came across when flipping through an old photography lighting magazine. It's something that I hadn't seen before, and I was super curious to try it out. So shout out and thank you to photographer Chris Gray for the inspiration. This technique essentially nests a small hard light within a much larger soft light, and it looked like it would produce some really interesting results. So let's check it out. For our setup today, we have an Aperture P60C lighting up our gray background because I wanted to add a touch of color to this shoot. Now, if you're surprised that the color we chose is blue, then I can only conclude that you haven't been around the channel very long and you should seriously consider subscribing. Thank you again to the lovely Lauren for being our model in today's video. First, let's position our key light, which in this instance is going to be a Nanlite Forza 60. I've chosen this light because it's a small, compact, hard light source that packs quite a punch. First, I eyeballed the brightness of the light so it didn't overpower the background, which was at about 16% brightness. Once you have your key light in position, you're going to want to meter the exposure. Why I'm doing this will become apparent in a moment. Under these conditions, the correct exposure read at f2.8, so I set my aperture to match. Next, we'll add in our larger soft light source. Today, I'm using an Aperture Amran 200D with a 95cm octabox, and I'm going to position it directly behind our hard light source. Your hard light should be positioned in the center of the soft source and both aligned so that they're pointing directly at your subject. The key to making this all work is in the lighting ratios, which is why I'm metering each light separately. We want the soft light source to fill in the shadows and create a nice soft wrap, but without overpowering the drama created by the hard light. I want to set our fill light one stop darker than our key, giving us a key to fill lighting ratio of 2:1. So let's switch off the key so only the soft fill light is left on, and using our meter, dim down the fill until it reaches f2, which is one stop darker than f2.8. Now it's time to switch our key back on. One thing that you'll notice is that when you have both lights switched on, is that your image will be overexposed because lighting is cumulative. So to solve this, let's take a new meter reading and set our exposure accordingly. With both lights on, we have an exposure reading of f2.8.5, which is exactly where it should be. Now we just adjust our camera's aperture to match. If you don't have a light meter available and you want to try this technique for yourself, you can do the same thing using the false color function on most external monitors. And here we have the final result. The last thing I want to add is a hairline to polish off the shot and help separate Lauren from the background a bit more. As you can see, this technique does a few very interesting things. The first is that you retain a lot of the drama and punch of a hard light. You still get those sharp, defined shadows characteristic of a hard light, but as you can see, if we compare the two, the shadow areas are a little bit less aggressive than if you used a hard light on its own. You still get a little bit of that soft wrap and creamy fall off within those shadowy areas, and that comes from our much larger fill. It's a really interesting effect. The other thing you'll notice is that we have a singular eye light or catch light. If we were to position one of our two lights on the opposite side of the face, as you would in a 3-point lighting setup, what you would get is two specular eye lights reflected in the eyes. By stacking our lights one in front of the other, we have what appears to be a singular light source. This is a really interesting effect, and I've been wanting to try this out and share it with you guys so that you can add a new technique to your lighting toolkit. This technique seems to have found its roots in the fashion photography world, but as far as I can tell, I've yet to see it used in film or video. I'd be really curious to try this technique out in some kind of commercial or maybe an interview setting. If you have seen other examples of this in use, please let me know down in the comments. I'd love to check them out. Well, that's it for me, guys. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. And if you try this one out for yourself, please let us know. We'd love to see some of the images that you produce. The easiest way to do this is to tag @CreativePathFilms over on Instagram. If you enjoyed this video, you can let me know by leaving it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more lighting tutorials just like this one, then make sure to hit subscribe so that you don't miss out when we release future videos. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.